Digital technology has an infamously horrible reputation when it comes to politics, democracy. Think about social media and the reputation it has gotten, the hate speech, the fake news, the conspiracy theories, also the polarization that's been blamed on technological filter bubbles and echo chambers. But the more as the technology matures and artificial intelligence matures, it becomes clear that, as always, the technology is just a tool. You can use it for the good or for the bad, just like every technology. And artificial intelligence technology has been shown to hold the promise in recent studies that I will present here to create a democracy that is more democratic than what the ancient Greek could have dreamed of more than 2,000 years ago, or the founding fathers of the United States and of the French Revolution could have envisioned. It shouldn't be surprising, because politics and democracy are informational processes. So an intelligent information intermediator should help us to really rekindle that and bring out the democratic spirit in us. And that starts with us, as again, it might be the user, and we often don't treat each other very nicely. And the technology, again, can help us both to become more human, treat us better, and also to become creative and look for creative solutions. So let's see how it can help us to treat us better. If you want to see one of the most toxic places in politics, go to one of these gun regulation forums in the United States, and you will really see how people don't treat. They're not like the most human of each other, the most humane with each other. So what they did here is they basically took a large language model, a ChatGPT, and they fine-tuned it in order to help to mediate there. Now, they didn't want to change the opinion of the people. So very unlike social media business model is to make you click on something you didn't want to click. They didn't want to make people do something that they didn't. So the sports fanatics and the hunters will still be in favor of having guns. And the parents who lost a child in a gun act, they will still be against gun. And they also showed that they didn't change that. But they used the AI to basically help with the dialogue without changing their opinion. And they were very successful. They showed that the conversation quality index and the democratic reciprocity index increased a lot. And the people who used it more could increase their quality more. Now, it can also help us to change our opinion, but also for the better. So what they did in this study here, they took 2,200 people who believed in conspiracy theories, like JFK was never assassinated, the moon landing was a Hollywood invention, and COVID invented 5G, or was it the other way around? And then they fine-tuned again ChatGPT and said, ask it 3 questions about this conspiracy theory that you believe in. And it was just 3 simple back and forth. And they were able to reduce the belief in this conspiracy theory by 20%. And that is shocking for psychologists, because a belief is extremely difficult to change. It's not like a fake news opinion. This goes much deeper. You either believe in God or you don't. And if changing a belief, for example, if you ever try to change a belief of a family member or even of a very good friend or significant other, you will probably notice that this is, some extreme. It goes extremely slow if you are ever successful. So in 3 exchanges and 3 back and forth, that's been unheard of. They also checked the ChatGPT, the AI, and there was not one false claim that it made. And when they asked the people 2 months later, they still said yes, they have much more doubts now in this conspiracy theory. So while the Web 2.0, the social media might have created a fake news pandemic, now there are the tools that we can also help to fight this, thanks to the same technology, fighting fire with fire. But hey, careful. If it can convince you to not believe in a conspiracy theory, it can also be used to convince. Again, technology is just a tool. Yeah, every technology, just like the hammer from the Stone Age. If we wanted to build ourselves a shelter in a cave, we needed something like a hammer, but then we also had a weapon. Back then, made us a very dangerous animal. So this technology can be used for the good or for the bad. And it can be used for the really good democracy, like the dream of real democracy, of getting to know the will of the people. This is very close to my heart. The thesis of my first PhD was on e-democracy many years back. And the problem with democracy is basically this. If you really want to get to know the will of the people, what do the people actually think? Well, there are too many peoples and too much or too deep of opinion. So what we do is we say, well, if we want to have a big group size, we don't let them express very deeply. It's a very shallow will expression. So we basically say left or right. You want the left or the right vote. Or we say, well, the founding fathers of this country, of the United States, said, well, we reduce the group size in a representative democracy, and we can have them really dialogue and have very deep will expression. So you get this trade-off axis between the old Greeks and the modern America, that actually you have few who can talk a lot, or you have many who can basically say left or right. But we couldn't go any deeper because it was an information overload. So even back then, many moons ago, the idea was, we called it social networking. The idea was maybe we could envision a real democratic democracy, e-democracy, and well, the colors were a little bit stronger and the hair was a little bit longer and we had dreams and we were excited, but we came up with some ideas that actually have been used now, like weighted preference voting. And that's what these researchers from Google did not too long ago. And they basically came up with an AI they called the Harber Mas Machine. Harber Mas is a German philosopher of democracy, of deliberative democracy. And they took a lot of people and gave them really deep will expression and really difficult issues. For example, really conflictual issues like what should be the retirement age, or what should be the minimum wage, where people really have a lot to say about. And you can think about it in the future. You just have everybody just record, maybe on their phone, talk for, it doesn't matter, 2-3 hours, just tell me what do you think, express your will. And that's been then transcribed in the future and can be put into this Harber Mas machine. Interesting that researchers from Google, from a private sector companies did that, but they published it in the highest academic journal of the National Academy of Science in Science. And it turned out that this intermediation machine was better than a human intermediator. So human intermediators of the public will of people, we call them politicians in representative democracy. Now it's maybe not so difficult to do a better job in intermediating the public's will than a representative in a representative democracy. But they really also looked at trained mediators, and you can see here that with AI it made a big impact. So that's the idea. Detecting the will of the people and finding it out what it actually is an informational process. And artificial intelligence, as shown in these incipient studies, can help us to finally implement the dreams of the ancient Greek and of the founding fathers.